Hi, today's card features a butterfly cutout on a watercolor background. This dragonfly was from the detailed Dragonfly Thinlits by Stampin' Up. The card came together really easy, and I'm going to show you how to do this with a marker called Zig Clean Color Marker, and also how to do it with watercolor pencils. So let me go over the materials that this card uses. The papers I'm using is a white card base cut 11 inches by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2. I have a black strip 5 inches by 2 3/4. I have a strip of white Bristol Watercolor panel 5 inches by 2 1/4. Sorry, 2 1/2. It's important to use the Strathmore Bristol paper. This is what it looks like for this technique, because that paper has the best results. I also have a strip of ribbon at 4 1/2 inches, and I'm using Fun Foam, which is cut 4 3/4 by 2 1/4. It is adhesive backed. I'll be using Versafine Onyx black ink and the Spectrum Noir sparkle pen. I am using the Zig Clean Color Real Brush Markers for this technique, but I'm going to show you 2 ways to do it in case you don't have the markers. I have a pack of 60, as you see here. The colors that I've selected are cobalt blue, yellow, green, yellow, and scarlet red. It says scarlet red, but it looks more orange, which is what I needed. If you didn't have the markers, you can use watercolor pencils. I'm using ink tints. I've grabbed the same color pencils that I have for the markers. Any watercolor marker will do. The stamp set I'm using is Terrific Tags by Fiskars, Moon Lake by Stampin' Up, and I'm also using the Stampin' Up detailed Dragonfly Thinlits. I store my Thinlits by taking a magnetic sheet and adhering it to cardstock, and this way the die cuts can be contained within the envelope and they don't slide all over the place. Because this is a detailed Thinlit, I'm using a tool that I got from Stampin' Up, which is a detail brush. You run the brush over the die cut after you have cut it out on top of this foam, which I'm showing, and all the little bits and pieces of the die cut will come out and go onto the foam, and it makes it very easy to free your die cuts. Let me clean this up and I'll get started. To start, you take each of the markers one by one and you just lay the color across the watercolor panel in order. I'm starting with the blue here. Be careful to go from all sides of the paper, left to right and along the bottom, so that there's not a plain white band. And I'm using my craft mat, so it'll be easy to just clean it up, any ink that goes over the edge. But if you didn't have a craft mat, you could just use a piece of paper. Once I get all 4 colors down, the next part is really simple and quick. All I need is a baby wipe. Any baby wipe will do. I got this from, I don't know, maybe Target or something. And you just take the baby wipe and you fold it up so that you can hold it in your hand, and you just go from left to right all the way across, from the lighter color to the darker color. And as you see, the colors blend beautifully. And that's it. That's all you need to do. I'm cleaning up my hands because this is a very wet white. Now I want to show you how to do this with, if you didn't have the markers and you had pencils. Surprisingly enough, but not, it's the same thing. You lay the colors out in the order. Just take the pencils and go one side to the other, just like you did with the markers. The blending will be a little different, but the end result will be very similar, and I think you'll be very happy with either way you do it. I thought that I took a little bit too much off the orange, so I went back and added a little bit more. But it's very easy to do once you actually can hold it. While I'm waiting for the panels to dry, I'm going to do the rest of the stamping. I have a small sentiment which says nature evokes the imagination, and I'm stamping that right along the bottom of the card. And flipping it over, I'm going to make sure that I am now working on the inside of the card. I'm adding the other sentiment. The inside sentiment reads, "The question is not what you look at but what you see," by Thoreau. And I'm cleaning the stamp with my homemade stamp cleaner. There's a video showing you how to make that on my channel. You can look that up if you have a moment. And now I'm stamping the sentiment for the front of the card. My example card, it said thank you, but I decided to switch it up, and I got another sentiment from the same stamp set which says for you. And I just stamp it in the upper right corner of the card. Now it's time to do the dragonfly. I'm going to cut the dragonfly out of the black panel. Because the watercolor panel will be covering it, you will not see where the dragonfly has come out. I, in fact, could have gotten 2 punch outs of this one panel, I believe, but I just needed the one. So over my big shot, and I punched it out. And now I'm going to use the detail brush to free the die cut from the paper. You just take your die cut with the paper in it and put it on the foam and just run your brush over it. It doesn't hurt the die, it doesn't hurt the paper, and it will free all the little bits out of the little holes, and you'll be able to get your die cut with no problem, rather than spending a lot of time poking out all those little bits of paper one by one. Very quick. So now all the little bits are free except a couple when I just quickly knocked them out, and the rest are stuck on the foam. If you do a lot of detailed die cuts, this is really a really good buy for you. Now it's time to do the stamping on the watercolor panel, which is now dried. But because it's watercolored, it's warped a little bit, so I have to give it a couple bends to try and make it stay flat. And I brought in my Misty tool. And I already have my duck, mallard, excuse me, stuck onto the Misty, and I just ink it up with the Onyx black and press it directly to the panel. After I did it, I realized that I probably would have rather had it a little bit higher. So on the second panel, I moved the duck up a little bit. And I didn't get a good stamping, so the beauty of the Misty is I was able to give it a second stamp. I'm cleaning off the stamp so that I can move it up a little bit on the second panel, because I don't want to leave a ghost image of the ink. But as you see, it's very easy to reposition the things using the Misty. And I gave this a double stamp too. I really did like the second placement better than the first. But it's personal preference, I suppose. Now I have to clean that stamp off a little later to make sure that it's not stained. Now the final assembly. I'm going to take the panels and adhere them to the black panels. Now using my tape runner, I'm going to glue the ribbon to the bottom of the card. I could have had the ribbon wrap around on the inside of the card, but I didn't like how that looked. So I'm taping it very close to the edge and I'm going to trim it after I get it in place. And I'm doing both cards at once since I am doing two cards to show the two techniques. But this part goes very quick. Now I just take my scissors and turn the card over and trim it even to the paper. The next step is to take the fun foam and attach it to the back of the panel. As I mentioned, this fun foam is adhesive back, so I'll just pull off the release paper and carefully line it up so that the fun foam doesn't show outside the panel. And if you don't line it up properly, then you could always give it a trim. I didn't have another solid piece of the fun foam for the second card, but I just made do with the remnants that I had from the first cut. It's fine, it's enough to make it pop up firmly. Grabbing my bone folder, I'm just going to close the cards and press the seam. I misplaced my favorite bone folder yet again. And using my ATG gun, I'm putting it onto the back of the fun foam. This fun foam takes the tape runner very, very well, so it's not a problem getting the adhesive to stick. I'm lining the panel up with the top of the card, and it has a slight overhang of the ribbon. But you have to get it straight, which I didn't on the second card, but I saw that and I fixed it. Now to adhere the dragonflies, I used Tombow, and I put just a small bit on the body, not the tail, but just the body and not the wings, and stuck it down on the card. Make sure that you don't have the wings hanging too far over the card, the envelope, the edges, if you're going to mail it, so that the wings are not destroyed in transit. And it sets up very quickly. The last step for the dragonfly was to give a little bit of sparkle to the water and also to the wings and the body of the dragonfly. It doesn't show up as well as I would like on the video, but in real life this is super, super sparkly. I really love the sparkle pen. It really adds a nice touch to your finished projects. And with that, the card is finished. I appreciate you hanging in with me while I made this card. I really like how it turned out. It's really, really pretty and sparkly. If you enjoy watching my videos, please subscribe to my channel. I try to put out new content very frequently, and I appreciate all the positive feedback that I'm getting. Thank you for watching and have a good day. Here's an up-close view of the sparkle. Hopefully you can see it.